All right, what's up, my fellow Liberty Chasers? So I'm going to chime in on this whole Kristi Noem shooting her dog thing. And before I really get into it, I'm just going to remind you I got to grift a little bit. Hit my Substack at libertychasers.com. Substack is called Chasing Liberty at libertychasers.com. Okay, now let's get into this. So, before I even get into this, this is not political for me. My opinion is not based on politics. I don't care whether Kristi Noem gets the VP nod or not because I'm not going to vote for her anyway. So, pardon the expression, but I do not have a dog in this fight. Second, speaking of dogs, I love dogs. All right, I have nothing against dogs. Some of my best friends are dogs. I don't have a hateful bone in my body towards dogs. So, here's the thing. I'm seeing a lot of outrage on X. And I saw a little bit of it yesterday, but I woke up this morning and everybody's talking about Kristi Noem shooting her dog. And it's based on a story that comes from The Guardian, which obtained a copy of her book. Now, right there, you should already be a little suspect because it doesn't put the entire section of the book in the article. So some of this context isn't there, but it had enough context for us to be able to understand what really happened here. I'm seeing a lot of people acting like Kristi Noem just decided out of nowhere just to shoot her dog because it wasn't hunting right. Like she's just some sort of monster dog killer, like she's pulling a Jeffrey Dahmer on dogs. That's not exactly what happened. So I'm going to tell you what happened and kind of give you my take on it. With these things, we have to think a little bit deeper. You may still disagree with what she did. That's fine, but the context does change the perception of the story based on a lot of the narratives that are being put out there. So here's from The Guardian. Her dog was named Cricket, and she had taken the dog on a pheasant hunt, and this dog didn't really do a good job. So, okay, fine. She was excited, she was chasing all the birds, having the time of her life is the quote. But then she kept trying to get the dog under control. She even tried electronic collar. Nothing worked. So on the way home, they stopped at a friend of the family, this other family that was living in the local area in South Dakota, wherever it was. And the dog managed to escape from the truck, and it went and mangled a bunch of these family's chickens. The dog killed them. It says, quote, the dog was grabbing one chicken at a time, crunching it to death with one bite, then dropping it to attack another. Noem says that the dog behaved like a trained assassin. And when Noem grabbed her dog, the dog, quote, whipped around to bite me. So the dog tried to bite her. So it goes on to talk about how the owners of the chickens were very upset about this. Kristi Noem apologized and offered to pay whatever they wanted, which they named a price, and she wrote a check for it. And then she helped them dispose of the chicken carcasses. So here's where people are getting mad. She says, I hated that dog. But she also talked that the dog had proven herself to be untrainable and, quote, dangerous to anyone she came in contact with. So she realized at that moment that she had to put her down. So there are probably other things that happen with this dog other than what's being reported in The Guardian. Now, I don't know if she goes into more detail in the book. Maybe she does, maybe she doesn't. But she's saying that the dog was dangerous, which is why she decided to put it down. Now, Kristi Noem has kids. Her and her husband have, I believe, 3 kids. You can't really take that dog home if it's dangerous and have it around your kids. You'll have to work overtime to make sure that the dog does not come into contact with her kids or with other kids who might come to visit. Some people were hitting me up on Twitter saying, well, she could have rehomed it. She could have given it to a shelter. What some people don't know is that a lot of these shelters will not take aggressive dogs. Or if they do, guess what they do to them? They put them down. Bing, bing. I mean, they don't shoot them. I know they don't shoot them. But they put the dog down. Same result. And in the way that Noem put the dog down, she shot it, so it probably didn't suffer. And that's really the end of the story. That's the context that is missing from what a lot of what I'm seeing online. Again, you might still disagree with what she did. Maybe you felt like she should have kept the dog or maybe tried to train it more. It already sounds like she tried to train this behavior out of it. But especially when you're living out in a rural area in a place like South Dakota, this isn't uncommon. And I've got a lot of responses from people who live on homesteads, on ranches, on farms, who say that this happens quite a bit. I had one follower telling me that this was a regular thing that she had to do as a kid. It was normal. Again, you may not agree with it, but that's the bottom line. Now, the mistake that Noem made was writing about it in her book, because politically that was a bad idea. Americans love their dogs, and honestly, some of y'all worship these animals. Again, I love dogs. I think they're great. I mean, when my dog passed away when I was younger, I was very sad about it. It was hard, but they're not people. And asking somebody to keep a dog that could bite her or her kids or attack somebody else who comes over, it doesn't seem very reasonable to me. So here's the thing. Yes, politically, this was probably a bad move just because of how emotional people get, but this is not what people are portraying it as. And obviously we know that she's being considered for Trump's vice president pick. I kind of think he was going to pick her. I don't know if he will now, but if you notice, every time she starts to get out there in the media, these attacks come up. It's not necessarily about dogs, but about other things. So this came from a left-wing source, which is probably not giving all the context that she wrote in the book. We got to think critically about that, but it's also coming from people on the right who don't like her. We've seen this happen before with the rumors that I'm not going to get into right now, but it seems like they always crop up when she starts to get a little bit more popularity. But politically speaking, think of how this might make farmers feel who might be considering voting for your candidate, because they've probably done this before. I mean, maybe you can argue maybe she should have taken it to the vet and let the vet put it down. Okay, fine, whatever. But again, this is a common practice, and we're not talking about hurting a person. We're talking about hurting a dog, a property. Dogs are your property. They're not humans. So I'll just leave you with that. Tell me what you think. Let me know what you think. I want to see how you guys respond to this, but I don't think that this is being portrayed in an accurate way, and a lot of the sensationalization and the outrage that's being ginned up by this is unnecessary, but it's kind of par for the course for American politics, especially on social media. All right, that's it. Let me know what you think, and I'll catch you on the flip side.